got a 100,000 square foot warehouse. We're trying to get a deal done. I made an offer of $200 a square foot. I think they want like 250 bucks a square foot. It was a true offer, by the way. True offer at around 200 a foot. We are going to give this guy a call and see if we can negotiate something good.
Hello.
Hey, James, it's Henry. How you doing?
Good, Henry. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. I know we were emailing back and forth, but I figured I'd just give you a call. You got a few minutes?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. The group that we're working with, again, it's a family office. This is right up their alley with, types of assets that they buy. They are closers. I mean, this is a cash deal. There's no worry about financing or anything like that. I definitely would love to try to get a range of what I can get back. Because, like, look, I'm going to get them up. Okay. I will definitely get them up. I don't want to get them up and then we are eons apart, if you know what I mean.
I respect what you're saying, Henry, but we're not ready to do that. If the price had been higher, I think we might have pushed along what we have to do on our side.
Yeah.
To accommodate you and your client to try to make a deal. But the fact that it's so low and the fact that we have work to do on our end just means that we're really not ready to do anything.
Which I can respect. I mean, like, obviously, like, it's not only the price, but like, again, you guys, got to come to a major conclusion here to agree to get this thing sold.
That's right. That's right. And we have, other considerations, things that we need to clean up. Please remember, we've owned this building for 25 years. All right. Yeah. Actually, 26.
Yeah.
And so, there are issues like deferred maintenance that the tenant has to take care of, and the tenant still has time, et cetera. So, we're going to have to walk through the building again, take into consideration what we feel needs to be done to put the building into serviceable condition.
Yeah.
The paragraph under other contingencies, you can drive a truck through that. Anything that, they don't like about this, that, or the other thing is a way for them to break a contract. And we don't go to contract on stuff like that, Henry. So
I definitely get it. And obviously, based on even like what you and I talked about over a month ago now, like, obviously, like, I'd love to have them tour it. I'd love to have you meet them, meet my partner and kind of, walk through the building and get to know them. Because, like, these guys are closers. And I think that there's definitely a way we can come to a win-win solution. Now, look, obviously, the variable of the work that needs to be done on the building that may or may not be compensated or reimbursed, by the tenant, right? Because they're going to do the work. I know obviously is a major variable, but maybe we can figure out holding an escrow that makes everybody feel comfortable. You know what I mean? And this way, everyone's kind of on the same page with the way that this can be handled versus, having to wait for it to be handled before things can be proceed,
No, I appreciate your thought, but, again, that causes slippage in price terms, timing, whatever. We want a firm commitment from a combination of us and the tenant as to what needs to be done in order to put this building back the way that we delivered it. I was the original developer of this.
Yep.
In 1999, and when I delivered it to the tenant, it was pristine.
I believe you.
And I want it back in a pristine condition.
I respect that.
So that I can get a maximum price out of a buyer. So Henry, until I get to that point, I really don't want to disturb the rent and.
No, that makes sense. I am curious though. What caused you to even consider selling it to the previous group? Was it just the fact of, they'll close fast with clean terms and you don't have to worry about the reimbursement of the building, like the renovations and stuff?
Yeah. So their acquisitions guy came through several times. And then when he brought his principals through, they started poking holes and asking questions.
Yep.
And, there's still a deal there. But, Henry, I'm quite old. I've been doing this for a long time. I know how people, negotiate after the fact. And
sure.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to close up every loophole for a buyer so that I know whether I want to disturb the deal I have with my tenant on the plate or not.
Makes sense.
And frankly, right, I still own buildings in the area. So if I have to, I'll go into Joe Hoff and say, hey, Joe, I'm going to renovate this building and I need some permits, and I'll do it. And then I'll get a $15 or $16 rent. So
yes, I agree. So question
So
for you.
your guys are at like a 5 cap on a $10 rent. Henry, there's no way we're not selling it at that price. Sorry, it's just not happening.
No, so again, I understand that, and like I said at the very beginning, I'm gonna get my guy up, right? Now, obviously, just like you had mentioned a couple times on this call, the property still, is not in pristine condition, and that amount of money, right, like based on, like roof and other things that, definitely need to be done considering the age of the building, all very normal things, obviously are also being taken into consideration of the buyer, right? Because my group is the opposite of what you seem to be experiencing with this group, where we like to just say we've walked the building, we have one number, this is our number, and this is what we'll close at, unless there's absolutely crazy hidden stuff that we have no idea about. Okay. So, again, if you told me hypothetically, because I don't look, we're not going to get the 250 a foot. We're just not going to get there. But if you said like, hey, 220, 215, 225, whatever the number is, a foot, if you can get here with very clean, simplistic terms and a quick closing, right, with no BS loopholes or anything to try to back out or whatever, right, crazy contingencies or anything, I might be able to do that.
Sure, I respect what you're saying, and obviously, if there's a strategy for us to get to that point, we'll consider it. But I've got to go through the building again with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one family that was my partner in this transaction going way back.
Yep.
We're going to go through the building together.
Okay.
With a guy to get pricing again. We've had pricing multiple times on what it would cost us to restore the building, Henry. So I'm going to go back through. I'm going to figure out, whether this is the appropriate time to sell or not. Right.
Yep. Makes sense.
So everybody's cramming me down because they don't think the rents are high. And look, they're probably not, because the market's soft right now. Right. And maybe this is not the right time to sell for us. So I have a bunch of homework to do. And as I said, the price that you guys have proposed, obviously it's unfair to you in a way, not having seen it. So you're not going to, propose 250 a foot. Yeah. And I get that. But the fact that you're so low just doesn't incentivize me to shake the tree.
So that's fine. And look, all I'm trying to say is that I do believe, and obviously, look, you guys got to go tour your building regardless of what we end up doing together, right? So I definitely respect that. All I'm saying is that between you and I, if you were to say, look, if you can get north of X number based on where you might be with this group, right, and or agreeable, like your agreeableness and your partner's agreeableness, I might be able to do it. And this way, I also know, like, hey, like, if I go back to my guy and he goes like, hey, my top end is, 210 a foot, and I know that you're at 230 or something like that, I know it's not going to work, and that's fine. And I could just tell him, the price is the price and call it a day.
Yes, I do. I know what you mean. So let's leave it this way. I'm going to go through the building sometime next week with our partners from Philly.
Yep.
We'll come to a determination as to what we're going to do with this. If we decide to consider you and your group, we'll send you a confidentiality agreement to be signed.
Yep.
And give us some financials and information on the entity that's going to buy this thing and who's going to put the money up.
Yep.
All right. And then from that point in time, you'll have some preliminary due diligence material you can look at to determine if you even want to come out and look at it. If you come out and look at it, I'll give you a number that you got to hit in order for you to get out here. And then if you say to me, you know what, thanks, but no thanks, that's fair, right? If you want to come out and look at it and then confirm the price, that's fair. But we're not there, Henry. Like I said, I really want to see how I can wring every last dollar out of this stuff.
Sure.
We don't own
rightfully so.
I worked for Prologis Trust way back in the aughts, and I know how people are, and I know people spool up millions of square feet. That's not us. We own a limited number of assets, and we take pride in maintaining them and keeping the values high.
Sure.
So I hope you respect that. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So then, look, that's fine. So then, when should we get back in touch? Like, when do you plan on walking the building?
Sometime next week. I haven't got a firm date from Jim, but
Okay.
I would say let me get him through. I'll go have dinner with him and his wife. We'll talk it through. If you want, what's today? Wednesday? Why don't we preliminarily talk like a week from today, like on Thursday of next week or Friday? At your convenience. All
Yeah,
right?
that's fine. I'll give you a ring Thursday or Friday of next week, and we'll see how everything went. We can try to figure out a game plan or not.
I think that's fair, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Of course.
And your interest, and tell your client, we appreciate their effort as well.
Of course. Sounds good. Thanks. All right, let me call the client.
What's up, dude?
Hey, buddy. So I just got off the phone with Piscataway.
With what? Piscataway, yeah.
Yeah. So the guy basically said the following, okay? The partners apparently are owed money, okay, because the tenant has to bring the building back to deliver, how it was delivered. So they have a lot of the capital expenditure might be even handled by the tenant, and they're kind of dragging their feet on it. The owners are going to go out to the property next week, and then they're going to let us know how they're going to want to proceed. Now, between you and I think we can get it for less than $250 a foot. I think
less than $250. The next buyer is not covering like roof and structure.
I don't want to say that specifically, but possibly.
But I'm saying you're saying that they're just going to pay them are they going to bring it back?
That it seems like to me they're going to have to bring it back to delivered condition. And if that is the case,
stuff and
exactly. I know exactly. That's why I'm saying I can't I wouldn't make any representations that X, Y, or Z is going to be done. But I can tell you some things will be done. It'll be a much cleaner building. Now, look, would you probably still have to do the roof? I imagine, because I doubt that the tenant's going to take responsibility for the roof. But what I can say to you is look, I think regardless, $250 a foot, I don't think that's what they're expecting. But I do believe something like a $240 or $230, $235 a foot with very, very strong terms and not a lot of, with near zero contingencies would definitely need to be the case.
I don't think I can hit it.
I get it. Look, I would just say whatever the best number you can, I would just prep your guy. But no matter what, he's going to call me back next week, or we're going to have a conversation next week after they tour it, and they're going to give us a better idea of what their plans are.
Tell me the truth, guys.
Yeah, go ahead, of course.
Load it to my institutions. You know what they all think it's worth. But the best I could do is put my best offer in front of them. It'll probably max out. Maybe I get 210, maybe 215, and then I'll put it in your court. You say that, listen, Barry does this for a living. He's plugged into every institution in the States. The number you're looking for is a user number. If you want to wait around for a user, I totally get it.
Yeah.
They don't come every day. They're very whatever. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But and also, a user's not going to take a deal with 3 years left of term. I forgot about that. But this is the market, and he's hitting top of the market.
Yeah.
If you want to go for yourself and hire Kyle Schmidt, and go see top of the market, maybe you'll get an extra $2, but I doubt it.
I get it.
And it'll take.
Okay.
That's what I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Let me have a conversation with him next week, and let me see what I can do.
All right. But yeah, I already see. I had a group I sent yesterday. I was hot on it.
Yep.
Oh my God! Thank you so much. And we can do something here. Yada yada. Texting this morning, hey, I really appreciate the look. Can't get past $200 here. It's only one loading from one side. We have to do a lot of work to the building. We can't underwrite more than at the highest number, a $17 rent. So
which is fair.
It just doesn't. Yeah, that's a really high number. So it just doesn't pencil after that.
I get it.
And you're carrying a mid 3 cap, even at $210 a foot for 3 years. There's not a lot of people can do that.
I agree with you.
Even a family office that I can say, hey, if you don't care, to pay all cash, they'll say, great, I hope I'm getting it at a great basis. I'm going to say, no, you're getting it at the market basis.
And look, maybe this is just a question for food for thought. If hypothetically the tenant were to leave day one, what would we do?
Hypothetically, tenant were to leave day one, it probably helps the deal.
I believe
not
it
by
would.
a ton.
You said not by a ton?
I have to underwrite it, but not by a ton.
Just curious. All right, look, I'm gonna clarify next week. You don't have to throw anything at these people, but let me clarify end of next week, and I'll let you know. And I'll keep you posted. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.